Hey YouTubers, I was just wondering if anybody has been watching that TV series from the UK called Survivors. I was just struck. I managed to watch some of it on a DVD, and I was struck by how a bunch of clueless sheeple would deal with surviving like a major pandemic situation where there was like 1% or less of the population of Britain that survived, and they did some smart things. One, they got out of the city so that they could avoid the cholera and all that stuff from the deceased, but I was really struck by how completely clueless they were. For example, on more than one occasion, the survivors were threatened by people with firearms, and I was really shocked, and it kind of lost the series. Kind of lost my my deliberate suspension of disbelief, because the survivors then got out of the situation and they didn't immediately hit every single police station or whatever, or army post to acquire firearms for themselves. Now, even in the kingdom of gun control, which is the UK, I can't imagine people, even if they had no firearms training, not getting something like a simple revolver or something to increase their own personal security. Now, I think it was the Road Warrior, I think it was the Road Warrior that came up with the survival triangle. You have to have food and water, you got to have shelter and security, and if you lose any of those three, you die. And they didn't get firearms, so therefore they would lose the other two, and on a couple of occasions they basically just out of sheer dumb luck, they lived through it. I am kind of interested. I've only seen part of the first series, but it's coming on the BBC, and it is still an interesting show, and I still enjoyed it. But it kind of lost a little bit of something because the survivors were just so completely clueless. Now, I'm actually wondering how clueless the average person would be in a situation like that. Would they actually just be so totally clueless that they would just die of their own stupidity, or would people act a little bit more intelligently? Now, for me, of course, into the prepper movement, with luck, the way luck works, I would probably die of the plague. But if by chance I survived, man, I would load my crap up into my bug-out vehicle and probably head south to Central Oregon or Southern Oregon someplace, and find an organic farm that I could continue to work with the principles of permaculture, maybe have some hens and whatnot, a rooster to keep the species alive, but I'd have to go down there quick before the domestic animals all died out. But basically that would be my plan, and I'm kind of wondering if anybody has seen that show, what would your plan of action be if you survived a pandemic of that degree, and you found yourself in a world or a country that's almost completely depopulated, and except for a few bands of survivors, what would you do? So there you are. Just curious.